another beautiful episode of Whiskey Dads.
Yes.
I am Jay Madison coming to you live from the ATL.
Hmm.
Market manager here for Uncle Nearest with my Whiskey Dads in tow. I'm going to shoot it over to you, my man, Matt. Matt out in LA. What's up, bro?
Hey, what's going on, man? I'm Matt Carlson. I am Uncle Nearest brand representative in Los Angeles, and I have a 10-month-old daughter.
A 10-month-old daughter. That's beautiful. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I forgot to say that. Yeah, I got a 6-year-old daughter, a 10-year-old son, and a 25-year-old daughter.
Good God.
Yeah. I'm doing great.
You look like you're 25. It's amazing, man.
You like how I kept it 70s, man?
You
right
did
on.
it nice. You did it perfect.
Mac, well, you're next, my man. Who's Mac up in DC and Virginia, man? What's up?
Yes, sir. So I am the Whiskey Mac out here in Virginia, Northern Virginia to be exact for me. But I'm all over around the state, Virginia. I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-month-old son. He'll actually 5 months on the 5th. So next week.
Oh yeah.
I'm very glad to be here. Again, fellas, Whiskey Dads. That's the only way you can go.
Keep it real. Keep it real. And then my last Whiskey Dad, Speedy, coming out of Nashville in Tennessee, holding it down. What's up, brother?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everybody. Hey, I'm Speedy out of Nashville. I'm the market manager for Uncle Nearest for Tennessee and Alabama. I'm the proud father of 2 daughters, a 13-year-old, and one that's going to be 16 next month.
Uh-oh. Where's your car?
That's an ongoing conversation.
Okay. All right. Excellent. And of course, we have a guest in the house. We are rolling deep tonight with all the dads. This is my Morehouse brother and my fraternity brother, Dr. Bryant, Reverend Dr. Bryant Marks in the house. Bryant is the founding director of the National Training Institute on Race and Equity at Morehouse College. And Brian, you also served as an advisor on commissioned by the White House, right, during the Obama administration. Is that right?
Yes, let's get that right. Obama administration.
There we go. Yeah, none other.
That administration.
Nothing recent.
Wow.
And Bryant, you have tell us about your wonderful family, your children, and all that good stuff, because you are a dad, bro.
I am a dad indeed. I have 3 kids. One is about to turn 6. One is 13, and one is 32.
Woo! 32.
Yeah.
Wow. My God.
Yeah. That's right.
They're all in our house.
Wow. Okay, my man. They're in quarantine.
Boy, COVID ain't no joke, man. It's making you love your family.
It brings families together. What can I say?
Yeah.
As I look over my crazy little kids over here popping into the kitchen real fast. So tonight we are continuing the conversation that we started. This is our third episode where we've been talking about race and the social issues going on. Is that me? I sound like I got an echo.
Yeah, it sounds like you might be on a Megatron.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on.
It's all right.
All right, but let me see. I might have to go to my other my phone because I'm not sure why I'm on echo. But we're continuing that conversation.
Moved it all to the side. So basically, we are going to continue the conversations on race. And so you good, Jay? Now? Oh no! All right. Oh, there you go.
Oh, wait. There we go.
Echo.
Still echo?
Yeah.
All right. Go ahead, Mac. We'll continue the conversation on race, but yes, absolutely. Does that sound better?
That sound better.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And this is a great way to bring in Bryant, who has a significant amount of training and education and experience regarding implicit bias and diversity training for law enforcement in particular. But also, too, Bryant is a brainiac. He's a psychologist, and also, and he speaks publicly to people all the time regarding this and that. I mean, that's truly what we're going through right now is trying to educate and help more people understand about the issues that have been going on for Black folks for hundreds of years. But then also, too, to bring things to have a clearer vision on the social injustices going on right now and ways that we could change that and really make things change for the future, not just be cool for 2 or 3 months and then all of a sudden go away. So that was why I thought it was really, really important to get Brian on here and just be part of the conversation. I mean, he brings with him facts and data when we just, sometimes just spit off the dome and just talk about our opinions. So I thought it'd be good to have a cool conversation, but just bring in some really good information that Brian's known for a while. So without further ado, Brian, tell me first of all, man, how in the heck did you get into this and what you're doing? How'd they all go down?
So I'm a Morehouse grad, as Jay mentioned, but my PhD is in social psychology. So I've been studying race, intergroup relations, and prejudice, that sort of thing, since graduate school, so over 20 years. So graduate school is at the University of Michigan. When I finished there, I was in Chicago for a few years and did some research around segregated parts of the city in Chicago. For those who don't know, Chicago is one of the most segregated cities in the country. And so we looked at intergroup relations, Black, Brown, different minority groups, how they related to each other. Then I went back down to Morehouse in 2004, been here ever since. But in 2013, I had my first appointment with the Obama administration, White House Initiative on Educational Excellence for African Americans. So I was a presidential advisor. So we advised President Obama from 2013 to the end of his administration. 2016, I was called up as a senior advisor with the White House Initiative on historically Black colleges and universities, representing two groups, but my wife went to school, and Morehouse grad as well, as I stated. So while I was at the White House, as a social psychologist, I was working on My Brother's Keeper in addition to doing some education work. And I worked with the President's Task Force on 21st Century Policing. So what happened was the White House wanted to do some implicit bias training. They knew I was a social psychologist. They said, could you do it? I said, yeah, I think I can help y'all out, right? So we do a session there. So I was the White House's official implicit bias trainer when it came to law enforcement. I trained over 2,400 police chiefs and command staff at the White House over a series of 10 different briefings. What began to happen is those chiefs began to invite me out to their respective police departments to train their entire police forces. For the last 3.5 years, I've trained over 30,000 police officers, myself personally. When you add in my team, that's another 10,000. And that's everywhere. So we trained the entire LAPD. So if you know, I think Whiskey Carlson is what I see.
Yeah, I'm in Los Angeles.
Okay. So I train the entire LAPD. So if you all know anybody at LAPD, you can call them up and say, hey, last year, to a Black dude, the bald head, they'll say, yes, I taught them all, right? We had 100 sessions, 100 officers per session, LAPD, I trained them all. And then I was going back every 6 weeks to the academy up in Elysian Park, right, academy, to train the recruits as they transition from their first to second year, and then the virus hit and that slowed down. But I've trained all of Phoenix PD, all of Seattle PD, King County PD. We did work in Chicago, Philly, Atlanta. So we train a lot of cops. The way we approach the work, right? So part of what we want to do is improve the life outcomes of people in general, but African-American males in particular. So we were very intentional about where we focused, right? We looked at where's the most egregious examples of bias. And what we found was criminal justice, education, social services, and healthcare. Those are areas where the rubber meets the road for the average family. And so we did a deep dive in those areas. So long answer long, that's how I came to this point. I've done no advertising. I've never advertised. All our business is word of mouth.
Hey, Doc, real quick, I missed those three things. What are those three things again?
The three areas?
Yeah.
Was four areas. So education,
four, sorry.
Criminal justice, healthcare, and social services. So social services is like social workers, like people who determine whether you get your kids back or not, like child welfare, like we train those people. So we actually have the master agreement for LA County. So the Board of Supervisors for LA County put out a requirement that all LA County employees receive implicit bias training. So we have the master agreement for that. So we've trained 24 of the 38 LA County departments. Total, there's 108,000 LA County employees. We trained about 60,000 at this point. So, and then that was the Department of Children and Family Services. 9,000 people, 7,000 social workers. I trained them all. But what we began to find out is these foster parents, these caseworkers, they make critically important decisions, right? Whether you keep your kids or not, whether you get a probation or not, all types of decisions. that we don't think about day to day unless you're in it. But social services, critically important.
Yeah.
No. You know what? You know what I also figured out was critically important? The cocktail. We forgot to mention. And I know, Bryant, that you're sticking with wine right now. You're being good, and Speedy, you're leaving. You're staying away from. Oh! Wait a minute. It looks good. It looks good. I see you're back in the game. So I'm gonna make what we have. The Sun Kissed with Nearest. I mean, it's just a simple, easy, cool cocktail, great for summertime. Also, too, if you don't have Uncle Nearest around you, make sure you can order us through Drizzly, or also on our website. You can go to unclenearest.com, go on there for shop, and then order us and use the promo code Liquid Gold. Mac, how's that sound?
Liquid Gold.
That's it. That Liquid Gold. And you get free shipping, and you can get some Uncle Nearest straight to your house. So that's another way. But make sure you go to your liquor stores, and if they don't have us, they can order us. You can just request that they order Uncle Nearest. And so we are in all 50 states and 14 countries. So you should be able to find us. And then last thing is, on our website also, there's a link that says Find. Click on the link, type in your zip code, make sure you check the box for 1856 and 1884. It'll let you know where you can find us, depending on your COVID situation, whether it's in bars and restaurants, but also liquor stores. So check us out. I'm going to go ahead and make it up real fast because I'm used to making cocktails real fast. I got my orange in here already. Smash that down. Muddler. That is. Hey man, if you're gonna do it, you gotta go all the way, bro.
Hey, look, I didn't want to say anything about the size of it. I really did. But good gracious!
Right, you get that. There you go. That's it. And then I'm gonna do a free pour, but I'm gonna do 2 ounces of 1884.
They're like
that smells about 2 ounces. Yeah, 3.5, 4. Right. And then what we say on that? Do like a half an ounce of the Clement Creole Shrub. For those of you all that don't know, it's an orange liqueur. So I mean, the one that most people know is going to be like a triple sec or a Cointreau. This one's the Clement Creole Shrub. I really like this one. This is really nice.
It's good.
Very sexy, very sophisticated. You know.
Clement.
Right. So then
I got the Clement. Clement.
We like French items here on the show, apparently. With what was the other French ingredient? I can't think of it now, Jay, that you introduced.
Oh yeah,
the Lait Rouge or the Dubonnet.
Dubonnet.
Yeah.
Dubonnet.
You had the Dubonnet.
Dubonnet. So that's the Creole Shrub in there, and then that's it. And then throw in the ginger beer on top. I like ginger beer.
Ooh.
My mama's from Bermuda, so I keep it real with the ginger beer, baby.
Wow.
And I'm gonna twist that up. There we go. Mix that in a little bit. And that's about it.
I can smell it from here, but that is just aromatic, beautiful. It's a gorgeous cocktail. Yeah.
Tasty. And to that, I say cheers to everybody. Cheers to Whiskey Dads. Cheers to Drink Honorably. And cheers to Uncle Nearest and us having this conversation and continue to fight the good fight.
Absolutely.
I drink straight from the bottle. Nah, let me quick do that. I don't.
Right.
So, Dr. Marks, is this in addition to your regular class load at school?
Well, actually,
sounds like you've been very busy.
What had happened was,
there we go. There we go.
In 2016, for my second appointment with the White House, I actually moved up to DC. So I took leave at Morehouse for all of the calendar year 2016. And so since the administration ended the last three and a half years, I've been on leave 2.5 of the last 3.5 years. Because I started a training business, the National Training Institute on Race and Equity, which we call NTIRE. And so again, no advertising, all word of mouth, all referrals. But we are, business is good. Even before the virus, business was good. And now that all this has sort of happened in the country, Black Lives Matter, racial equity, business is spiked again, but it's virtual and it's a different feel, right? Yeah. So what we're dealing with now, I got a lot of my Fortune 500 companies, CEOs reaching out. Like, it was interesting, in case you didn't know. Once the George Floyd thing happened, a lot of these companies and organizations felt like they needed to communicate to their employees, we're inclusive, we love you, we want to support Black folks, all that stuff. But a lot of these CEOs were white people who weren't used to communicating about race with their people. So they would send me the drafts of their internal memos, and I would give them feedback. We go back and forth so that they get the right tone and so forth. So I don't know within your company if your leadership did anything like that, but the vast majority of large organizations have sent out some sort of internal memo about racial equity and what we're dealing with right now. So it's interesting the time we're in. I think folks are more open. I mean, you're hearing organizations use the phrases systemic racism, white privilege, and white supremacy, and people aren't cringing anymore. Like, it's different now. And so it's been an interesting time to do this sort of work.
Can I ask a question real quick? You're talking about race and equity. Can you I think you even said racial equity. Is that what you said earlier?
Well, race and equity, but
race and equity. Can you speak to equity? Because a lot of times, we've had this term equality before coming out, and I think that was like the fight earlier. But now we're talking about equity. That's kind of come up a little bit new. Can you kind of expound a little bit on that, race and equity?
Yeah. So equality is when everybody gets the same thing. Equity is when people get what they need given their situation. Example: say in your state, like California, they had a surplus before the virus for several years, right? So the government says, we got some extra money. We're gonna get some money to the school systems throughout the state. Say you're a superintendent, you get this bonus money, and you're in your district. There may be 3 high schools. One is in an affluent area, flush with money, doing real well. Kids go to Paris in the summer. Wonderful, public school, doing really well. Another school, high school, is in an impoverished area, buildings falling apart, low resources. Equality is a superintendent giving the same amount to each of those 3 schools. Everybody gets the same. Equity is taking that low-income school into account and saying, let's give them a bit more given where they are. Here's the deal. The principal of the affluent school, they could push back. They could say, well, no, I want mine. This is supposed to be equality. I want to get my fair cut. I want my kids to go to Paris and London, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could just be like that.
Right.
And they have a point. They're like, no, equality is equality. But the leader says, the equity-minded leader, principal at the affluent school says, you know what? We're good. Give our share to the low-income school. They need it more than we do. That's equity, right? So equity is customized allocation of resources given somebody's situation. You take where they are into account. It's like being a parent. We all have multiple kids. Your kids need different things.
Yep.
Some kids you can talk to. Some kids, they got to feel the pain. It's just right? I'm saying.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
You got
I love it.
Bait the hook to suit the fish. And so it's this notion of adjusting resources as necessary. So that's equity.
Okay.
Yeah, I appreciate you explaining that. I think that's become a big topic now. Is how do we reach equity? How do we find and how do we get equity? And I'm not saying we as just Black people. I'm talking about as Americans in general.
Right.
But how do we find what that level of equity would be or should be?
Right.
Like, I mean, how do you define that? Do you just kind of split up resources as best you can, or do you say, do you really come with a ballpoint figure? And is it always money? Is equity always a money or financial thing?
No, it doesn't have to be money. It could be time. It could be sacrifice. So, for example, if you have a mentoring program, right, and you're gonna have mentors go to different places. Well, some kids, depending on their situation, regardless of their race, it just may be a class issue, may need more pouring in than somebody. Maybe it's a single parent household. They don't have a father figure. That mentor may need to give more time to that particular mentee.
Right.
Here, that's mom, dad, uncles, these strong father figures. And yeah, you take them to a ball game, do a little something, but you don't have to give them as much because this other kid is in a different situation. So equity takes people's situations into account. And oftentimes our situations are beyond our control, right? And in our trainings, because people say, in the US, in terms of your outcomes, it's always personal choice and personal responsibility. To a certain extent, that's true, right? But there's some limits to that.
Yeah.
Question for you. You 4 here. How many of you all personally, in terms of personal choice, how many of you personally chose the family you were born into as an infant? Personal choice. How many of y'all personally chose the income level that your family had when you were growing up? How many of y'all personally chose when you were coming home from the hospital or wherever you were born? You chose the house you went home to, the street you lived on, the city, the county, the state, even the country that you were born into. Right. How many of you all personally chose your own name? at birth, right? So basically, you haven't chosen any of those things. You had zero control over those things, but those things have had significant impact on who you are today, over which you had zero control. You didn't choose your family. You didn't choose your income level. You didn't choose where you live. You didn't choose your own name, right? See, some of y'all like Jay represent, right? I'm from Cincinnati. I represent Cincinnati. I love Cincinnati. Got Cincinnati tattooed on my back. Cincinnati for life.
Ohio player, baby.
That sounds about right.
You was born and raised in Chicago, you represent Chicago. You was born and raised in Atlanta, you represent Atlanta. You being born and raised in Cincinnati had nothing to do with personal choice. It was situational. Your parents said, we're going to live here. And as a result of their choices, you grew up in a certain place. But that place has had significant impact on who you are today.
There we go.
You had zero control. Right?
That's beautiful, beautiful.
So when we're talking about equity and access and so forth, we got to take people's situations into account. Yes, personal choice matters. Absolutely, no doubt. But situations matter as well. And equity tries to take that into account.
I love that. That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Way to break that down, Bryant. Wow, very impressive. So how things are going? How do you all feel how things are going now? Like it was so much fire that was going on weeks ago. Now it seems like things have kind of settled to a certain degree because all of a sudden now COVID's back in play. So that's the big thing in what's going on right now. So Speedy, tell me, like, how do you feel things are going in regards of how the social injustice, the protests, and things were going beforehand? How do you feel that's going for you right now in Tennessee, bro? And you've been in Alabama too.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, Alabama, I've had a few trips down there, and it's wildly different than what I'm seeing in Nashville or Memphis. It's just in Nashville itself, and I think it's socio-political as well, you know, as far as the influence, to where it's a little more calm here. People a little more rational. You know, haven't had any instances where, you know, a quiet protest ends and all of a sudden, you know, rubber bullets are just started fired, you know, with no exit strategy for the protesters themselves. And then that's specific to one of my markets south of the Tennessee border. Here it's crazy because, I mean, we're getting a lot of press specifically out of one bar specifically in downtown Nashville. There's a lot of unrest, you know, that a lot of entitlement, people getting out, refusing to wear masks and things like that. We're about to go back to square one, I'm afraid, as far as COVID curve. So yeah, the dominoes are falling in that favor. Nashville itself, by and large, people here are, you know, quite friendly and very tuned to the cause. I am seeing a lot of on social media, you know, gaslighting and things like that. And I'll go back to what I said last month. You know, don't let them distract you with their misdirection. You know, when they throw out specific gaslighting scenarios, end of the day, the man was killed. Brianna was killed. You know, don't take your eyes off those prizes, man.
Nice.
So that's what I'm seeing. I'm hearing people talking about it. I'm seeing a lot of chatter. There was a guy today that, you know, he wasn't allowed into a specific grocery store. I'm driving around a lot, and this guy pitched a fit. You can imagine the hat that he was wearing.
Gotcha.
But I'm encouraged. I will say this weekend I'm encouraged at you know, the subsequent generations. They're really stepping up, man.
Right.
They're not taking no for an answer.
That's
They're
true.
fed up with our bullshit.
Yeah.
Period. So I'm really encouraged by what I'm seeing with them. There's a march that's going to happen this Saturday, and these kids are all about it, man. Very impressive young ladies. Hell, even Obama, you know, retweeted them a couple weeks ago, man. Proud to see that. I mean, they're all my daughter's age.
Yeah, I'm about to say your daughter's part of the crew that's out there protesting, right?
Yeah, she's feet on the street. She's not one of the organizers, but yeah, she is proudly feet on the street and doing what she can to support the cause. We'll be right there with her on Saturday.
Right on.
Nice.
Right on. That's good. It's kind of been kind of similar here because of, you know, COVID coming back into the forefront, and trying to see what are the next steps in regards to this city? I know Rashard Brooks being killed. A lot of protests, a lot of things going on for that. Um, and seeing what's going to be the next move for our city. Our mayor is carrying one hell of a load, and she's doing, in my opinion, she's doing one hell of a job based upon what she's got to deal with. And very, very proud of her and how she's handling the situation as a country, but then also locally within our city, and how she's stepping up as an African American woman, as a mother, as a wife. I mean, she is, it's been a few times in press conferences where she sounds like a concerned mother telling you what she wants us as a city to do. And so just really, really proud and happy to see how she's handling things from that standpoint. But I mean, it's just a funny time right now. Again, where it's like, okay, now where do we go from here? Now, what happens here? So, um, any thoughts on that, Brian, in regards of what's because you have so much going on with them saying defund police, reform, all that type of stuff. So what's your take on that? Because you're on both sides in a sense and understand it. So what do you feel about those initiatives going out there about defund police or reform police brutality, or the tactics that are used and all that good stuff? What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, so I think defund the police probably is not the best phrase to capture the essence of what they're trying to do. If they're trying to redistribute resources, I get that, absolutely.
Okay.
So I'm actually, in full disclosure, on Mayor Lance Bottoms for Atlanta, the police reform task force. So I'm on that task force. We've been meeting hot and heavy.
All right.
And we already came out with some recommendations, and we gave us some more. So it's quick, it's moving. And so, yes, redistributing resources could be helpful. Police officers are not social workers. They're not mental health professionals. They go out on the streets. They don't necessarily have the skill set to deal with that. And sometimes things can go sideways. Like if you're a rookie, or not even a rookie, if you're a new cop and you can't distinguish somebody who's high from a mental illness, from fatigue, it's all types of things. It's not just them resisting to resist. They're not trained, many of them. Please understand, y'all, you know that in the United States right now, there are 4 states where you can be 18 years old and be a sworn-in police officer right now.
Wow.
This is why that's important.
Wow.
Cortex, the part of the brain most responsible for critical thinking, does not fully form until your mid-20s. So you have 18-year-olds with a gun and a badge, with impulse control issues because they're adolescents, right? With 12 weeks of training on the street, on patrol, right? With the ability to take somebody's life if they deem it appropriate, okay? Now, they're not even old enough to drink, but they're old enough to take somebody's life, right? So, and the minimum education, GED. No shade on GED. Wonderful. Do what you got to do. Right, but the notion is for some of these officers, not everywhere, some of these officers, the way their motivation for going into policing is not just to protect and serve and help people. For some of them was, I can't get a job anywhere else. It's good, it's good benefits. It's hard to get fired. You have a union. Let me be a cop. For some, literally. So imagine a combination of all those factors, and then you get pulled over in the middle of Alabama, rural Alabama, late at night. Right. So, right. So. I get the notion of defunding the police to put it in other spaces to possibly make up for some of the shortcomings that some police officers may have. I get that, but it has to be done well. Like Minneapolis, they blew their situation up, and I get it. It'll be interesting to see how they reconstruct the whole thing. It's going to be a minute though. But yeah, no, we do ask police to do things beyond their trained skill set. That is true.
Right. Right. For you, Matt, you out there in La La Land, bro, and with Bryant being doing so many trainings and stuff like that, have you experienced and seen or felt like you've seen a change in the perception in how the LA cops are dealing with this recent unrest, but then also too on the reputation that they've had from back in the day from Rodney King and stuff like that? Have you felt that? What are you seeing out there yourself?
I mean, I'm going to be real honest.
Mhm.
Where I live, there's not particularly a strong police presence because of the neighborhood I live in. And I'm not originally from Los Angeles, so I lived in Michigan. When you said University of Michigan, that caught my attention. But then Jason
No hate.
from Ohio, I know. And then I spent a lot of time in New York before coming out to Los Angeles about 5 years ago. But I would say, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of awareness right now, I think, particularly among, people my age and our generation who are white, who are aware, maybe for the first time, of the privilege they have. And I think it's a complicated thing to see all these people sort of go through this education at the same time.
Yeah, it's one hell of a learning curve.
Yeah, I'm very optimistic in that sense, but I do feel like too, I guess the question I had, I'm pivoting a little bit from your question, Jay, but the question I'd have for Dr. Marks is that I know that so many people who are of my viewpoint are having tough conversations with their families, who may not live in larger urban areas, who may not understand what, they hear defund the police and they don't think, oh, it's going to go to mental health services, or they see what's happened in protests and don't understand it. Those conversations have been great and complicated over texts and phone calls. But I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about your time in training the police forces and if you felt resistance to that and then saw that resistance change. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm imagining that some of the police officers that you trained weren't initially receptive. And over the course of that time, did you see that go away? Or do you have advice for people having conversations with family members who might not understand what's going on?
Right. So I'll take that second question first. So in terms of the family members piece, it's all about being informed and educating yourselves, right? And so we do a whole course on the history of race and racism in the United States. And we really just, in a methodical fashion, walk people through the extent to which race and racism was embedded in the very fabric of this country. We have to change of perspective. See, some people say, well, and I'm gonna get to the policing thing shortly, but some people say, well, the US, we're a nation of immigrants. No, we're not. That is incorrect. The US never has been and never will be a nation of immigrants. Why? Look at the word immigrant or migrant. To migrate is a voluntary act. To seek refuge or a better life on purpose with intent. When you say the US is a nation of immigrants, in the same breath, you are dismissing the Native American experience and the African American experience. Why? Native Americans are already here. They were slaughtered or displaced. African Americans are brought here in chains by force. That is not immigration, right? So folks, it's not a matter of debate. It is a matter of definition. Look at the word immigrant and see if it applies to everyone. It does not. So if somebody continues to say that the US is a nation of immigrants, that's an integrity issue. Because you know better, but you're not doing better. And then a gap lacks integrity. That's on you. But the notion is the education has to happen. This country was founded on two original sins: genocide, slaughter of Native Americans, and enslavement of Africans. That's just the truth. Bring me your free, your huddle masters, please. Whatever. That came later. Y'all got to understand. Folks, here's the history of the United States in 2 minutes. You ready? Here we go. Rich European countries wanted to get richer. So they sent people out on boats, go explore the world and bring us back more stuff. So they came over to the Western Hemisphere, Northern, Central, Southern America. There's a lot of stuff here. Gold and silver and timber resources. Bring it all back. The rich people in Europe, kings and queens says, we want it all. The explorer said, there's people there. Got rid of the people, Native Americans. Now we got all this land. We'll go to Africa, get some people to work the land. The United States of America, the most powerful country in modern history. But if you had free land and free labor for 246 years, you'll be rich too. If you're not, there's something wrong with you. From 1619 to 1865. But I mean, talking to me, we ain't no immigrants here. This was an economic move. Okay?
Yeah.
All that other stuff is romantic window dressing. But if we're going to have an honest conversation, it's about economics and exploitation. The reason the US is the most powerful country today, I don't know if we record or not, but the notion is we can outkill and out-exploit every other country.
Yeah.
We tend to win wars. We got the biggest gun, and we are very good at exploiting people. Native Americans, African Americans, and don't talk about what the U.S. has done around the world. You want to talk about Haiti, Panama, places like that? Come on. That's going to get a little too deep. I know, you know what I'm saying?
No.
But the notion is we need to understand our true history and don't romanticize the past. One thing you can do, and I know your name is like, what's your name?
Matt.
That's
my first
Matt.
name. Yeah,
My bad.
Carlson's my last name.
So,
Yep.
Here's what I tell white people: like, well, how can we be allies? How can we be allies? I'll say, okay, drop your butt, right? Talk to your friends, your family, your house, and your church, right? Here's the deal.
Yep.
Tell them that look at when ethnic whites came to the East Coast in the late 1800s, early 1900s from Europe, when the Irish came, when the Polish came, when Italians came, when white Jews came to the East Coast. You know, they were treated horribly.
Mm-hmm.
Certain parts of New York, in Boston, when they were advertised for jobs, they'll put up signs that said Irish and dogs need not apply. And these are white people. Not to mention Japanese internment camps, Chinese in the railroads. We have a history, a legacy of bias from the beginning. Do not romanticize the past of this country. Now, I love the U.S. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But we've had some issues from the beginning. So when you talk to your friends and family closely, have that conversation. Have some honest, real talk about the flaws in our system from the beginning. The 3/5 clause of Black people is in the Constitution.
Still.
Our founding document defines Black people as a fraction of a human being, right? So let's not romanticize that. Let's own it. Let's grow from it, but let's not deny it. And so the more open we can be in acknowledging those things and saying we want to get better, here's another thing I tell white folks who want to be allies, wonderful. Don't take the lead. We need you to block and tackle. We need you to be a down lineman who opens up a hole for the Black running back to go through, right? We have ideas. We know what we need. Right?
Is that the equity part, though? Is that the equity part or no? Is that
that's part of it?
part of it?
A little extra for us because part of our agenda has never been realized.
Yeah.
So if you got a white guy who's racist or sexist or why does Black Lives Matter and they hating, you handle that person so I don't have to. That's an ally.
Yeah.
You
Neutralize it.
and let us handle our business. We don't need you. We don't need a savior. We don't need you to take the lead. We need you to open up a hole for us to go through, right? So when you're having those types of conversations in this balance, right? Not judgmental. I don't judge. I train a whole bunch of white people. I don't judge them, right? I train them through empathy and their humanity. I don't come in and saying everybody's racist. I don't say that, right? I say everybody's human. And as a function of being human, certain universal principles will apply, like having biases. We all have them as a function of living in a society and having a brain, right? It's not genetic to be racist, but it is genetic to have certain biases, right? So if I said to you, police officer, you probably think male. If I said nurse, you probably think female. Doesn't make you sexist. But you might have lived a life where you happen to come across more male cops and female nurses.
Right.
And you might have lived a life where when you see Black males, they've been associated with crime or violence in some way. Doesn't mean you hate Black people, but don't be naive. In our society, we've been exposed to groups and traits over and over again. Okay. So anyway, I'll stop there. I feel like I'm going.
That was beautiful.
No, it's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I think with Matt though, because one thing that stuck with me, Matt, is last time we had this discussion and you said, having the talk about race was something that was optional in a lot of white homes.
Yeah.
Whereas with Black families, it's you have to have it because you have it anyway. Like, it's essential, but it's a part of like the cloth. I mean, we have that conversation all the time, and it doesn't, I can't even tell you, we were saying this, I think as well, at what age and all this stuff. I mean, my daughter and I already have that conversation several times and she's 6. So, I mean, again, it started, I believe when she was 3 or 4, like I said, last time we were doing this, but I think Matt, to come off of what you were just saying though, I see the, like I'm trying to really be able to see, put on someone else's shoes and seeing this from a different perspective. Like, how do you have the conversation about race, and how do you do it when a lot of times white people were the ones that were holding, and I don't want to say the power because I don't know if that's really the way I want to put it, but in a way, it was a lot of what white people did that messed up a lot of what's going on in this world. And how can you have that conversation when you are a white guy? I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but again, what I'm trying to say is I get the point now of what white America's having to battle with. And I know they put out this book, White Fragility. I still haven't read it yet. I need to, but I don't know if the answers are as easy to come by, right? Like I guess what it is like it's almost like kind of like the doctor saying, if you just have the conversation openly and you involve blacks to that conversation or whatever it might be, that might be able to help shed some type of perspective that you need in there. I don't know, because I mean I've seen a lot, and I'm kind of going into a couple things, but I've seen a lot of these companies put out these different things, right? Like we stand against racism, we're all solidarity, all this stuff, but then they say, okay, we're going to donate money, right? And then of course business as usual after that, right? Like that went on for 2 days. Mm-hmm. And the question is, what's going to happen now, right? Is there going to be real action? And even though people are saying, no, we have to act, we got to do real actionable things. But the question is that really going to happen? You know what I'm saying? Like, it seems like, and Doc, I don't know, maybe this is going back to you or whatever, I'm not sure. But I think we're in that place now of the action items. So now we've done all the talk. Yeah, white America should understand the issue that has been going on. I don't see how it's become like a new found thing, but it should already be done. Like it should be known. But the point is now, how do we shouldn't be racist, and they do these generalized statements, they being just the voice of the people right now. I see a lot of that, this big generalized, big paintbrush strokes of trying to clean it up. But really the action items for individuals, how do you go about that? I'm thinking right now, I really and this is a sad thing, being a black man. I mean, of course I don't have the answers. I mean, this is something I've been dealing with all my life, but I don't know how to tell white people to become, and whether you want to say more woke or whatever you want to say, I don't care how you want to put it, but doing things that would be real actionable, right. I guess items or whatever. I don't know if you do like business, actual items, but you get
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll take a stab at it. And I started to get back to the police question. So real quick, Matt, on the police question, we have noticed some differences, but it's self-report. So after we train a bunch of police officers, they may send me an email and say, I did something on the street related to your training. It really helped me. I'll get feedback like that. I had LAPD. Well, I shouldn't have said that. But anyway, there was an officer.
I won't tell anybody.
Right, but it's doing a training. He walks up, he has a Trump 45 shirt. This is in the fall of 2016, during the run-up to the election. Trump 45. He knew I was affiliated with the Obama administration, right, because word got out. He walks up to me, chest out, at the beginning of the training when I'm setting up, shakes my hand. He wants me to see it. Okay, got it. Then he sits down. We go through the training, 4-hour training. He comes up to me afterwards. You know what? I had you pegged wrong, right? Here's my card. If you ever want to go to lunch, you want to go on a ride along, I'd love to show you the city, right? So you never know how you're going to affect people, right? You never know. So, and that was in the moment. And I've been in other places that were even more explicitly hostile than that. But after the conversation, after the engagement, after I showed some empathy, I pushed them, try to give them some aha moments. The response has been clearly positive. Our training for LAPD was the highest rated training in the last 30 years.
Wow.
That includes the LAPD trainers themselves, right? And I'm an outsider, right?
Yeah.
And the police commissioners will tell you that. And so yeah, I mean, so in that regard, we think we're having some impact, but it's hard to measure the impact of implicit bias training when it comes to like officer involved shootings or like of unarmed black people, because in most departments they may have they'll probably have less than 4 or 5 unarmed victims a year. And the thing is also, I mean, we add them all together, it adds up, but each department is 18,000 police departments in the United States, right? Some of them will go a whole year without any shootings of unarmed people. But what can happen is police, they receive a lot of training. So 1 week is implicit bias. Next week is de-escalation. Next week is, safety and well, whatever. It's a variety of training. So it's hard to say after a year, I give them a training, a year later, we look at their results, whether any decreases are only due to the implicit bias training, when they had de-escalation and a bunch of other things. So it's hard to really do that. We think it is good practice. The science says it's going to help, but it can be difficult. So to the other question, in terms of, and I had a great point. Give me your question again. I'm sorry. Real quick.
That's total whiskey dad right there. Go ahead.
What did I ask?
No, not you. Not
It was Mac.
Oh, great. I was like, I think you covered that.
I think I was just talking about action items. I was just saying like, yeah. There we go.
There we go.
Click action items. That's what I said. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Take a sip of whiskey, man. Hold on.
So at the end of our trainings, whether it's corporations, philanthropy, whatever the audience is, we give them things they can do as individuals and things they can do at the organizational level. One key thing we give them as an individual related to action items, think about what you do at work every day, right? For those who are working. And we say, try to find moments of discretion. Moments where your subjective experience or your biases could play a role in a decision that you make or a task that you complete. And simply ask yourself, is it possible for me to go about making this decision or completing this task in a manner that I change my practice and my biases don't play out? Example, I'm a college professor. At the end of the semester, my students email me their term papers. I print them out, I lay them out. I look up, I take the cover page, I put it on the bottom, I staple it. Why do you think I do that?
You don't know
don't
who
have
wrote
any
it.
bias whatsoever.
Yeah.
I don't want to know whose paper I'm grading.
Right.
Right? It's the end of the semester. I know all my students. I know who my A students are and my not so A students are, right?
Right.
So say
So
I'm grading the paper of an A student and I know he's an A student and I'm like, and he makes a minor mistake. I'm like, well, he's a good student. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Nope, bias.
Yeah.
I'm gonna grade him cold, right? Folks, I'm still doing my job, right? But I'm doing it in a way that cut the link between biased thinking and an outcome. So we tell people, whether it's at home or at work, try to find those moments of discretion. For example, if you're a hiring manager, we know from the science that names on a resume can increase or decrease the likelihood of you being called for an interview. They've done studies where they've submitted names of resumes online, like for, this was in Chicago and Boston about 3 years ago. And all the resumes were equivalent in terms of qualifications, experience, and education. The only thing they manipulated was the first name of the applicant. For half of that resumes, they were mainstream sounding names. Michael Johnson, Allison Jones. For the other half, they were ethnic sounding. Malik Johnson, Aisha Jones. What did they find? Those are the ethnic sounding names, Malik and Aisha, 30% less likely to be called in for an interview. Their qualifications were identical, literally. How do you explain that? Right?
Yeah.
So either it's implicit or it's explicit. So we tell people this, take the name off the resume before you review it. Quick, easy, right? Sometimes it's going to be easier to change your practice than it is to change your mind. If you've been thinking a certain thing for 40, 50, 60 years, it could take me a year to undo that. I could change practice in a day, right? So in terms of action, one thing is remove the basis of bias whenever possible. And we walk them through practical strategies to do that. So again, long answer, long. I apologize.
No, that's good. I just think it's so difficult. I think not difficult. I just think people don't want to do anything extra, and it's sad. I mean, they don't even want to put a mask on, man. You might die. No, you know what? I don't want to do it.
Absolutely.
I mean,
too much. Yeah.
But Doc, that's I agree. I mean, it's true.
Yeah,
I love it.
That's crazy.
Matt, you about to say something? You had your mouth.
Yeah, I just thought, since we have you here, could you walk us through sort of the basics of implicit bias and what that training is?
Sure. So bias.
Real fast, I know you have that on YouTube. Is that right, Bryant? You've done a few trainings on YouTube?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
great.
So, yeah, if you go on YouTube, just put in Bryant Marks, my videos will pop up. But in the simplest form, bias is a tendency, an inclination, or leaning toward a certain thing, opportunity, or person, right? It's not inherently good or bad. Bias is just a leaning towards one thing versus another when you have the option, okay? Implicit bias, or what we call social bias, is when you have a proclivity, tendency, or a differential treatment of a person based upon a group to which they belong, right? We tend to favor our in-groups. An in-group would be your family, where you went to college, people from your state, your skin color, your gender, however you define your in-group. We have multiple, but we tend to treat in-group members slightly or much better than out-group members. It's perfectly normal and natural. People do it all the time. But in terms of how biases form, two simple ways. There's only two ingredients that have an implicit bias. I'll make this real simple, real plain. Two ingredients. Living in society and having a brain. That's it. If that applies to you, then yes, you and everybody listening has implicit bias like everybody else. Everybody else, right? Folks, it is unavoidable. You cannot beat it. It is built into the machine. Why? Because usually our biases help us. But every once in a while, they can go sideways, right? All right, finish this phrase. I'm gonna start a phrase. I want you all to finish the phrase. All right? Ready? There we go. It's easy. Peanut butter and
Jelly.
Jelly.
Are you biased or a bad person for saying jelly?
Nope.
No. You live in a society, you got a brain. And by living in this society, you're more likely to come across with peanut butter and jelly paired together than another pairing. It doesn't say anything about your character. It's all about exposure.
Yeah.
Implicit bias is rooted, please hear me, is rooted in disproportionate exposure. All of us have been overexposed to certain groups and certain traits and certain groups in certain roles. Let's do it like this. And y'all can help me out. Besides Barack Obama, when I say president of the United States, what race comes to mind?
White folks.
What gender comes to mind?
God.
Male.
Right. So by you saying white male, that doesn't make you racist or sexist. It makes you human. With one exception, white male presidents is all you've ever known. Throughout the history of this country and your history books on your money, you've only seen white male presidents with one exception. We all know that a woman can do the job. It just has not happened yet. So until it does, a woman is unlikely to come to mind when you think president of the United States. It doesn't make you sexist. It makes you human. You've never seen one. You could be a feminist to the 10th power. And I say president of the United States, you still think white male. Doesn't make you less of a feminist. The mind can only lock in that to which has been exposed. No one on this call or listening right now in this country has ever been exposed to, has ever seen a female president of the United States. So why would you expect one to come to mind when you think of that office? Doesn't make sense. Disproportionate exposure lies at the key of implicit bias. So at the end of the day, a definition, implicit bias always starts with the stereotype in association with the trait. Surgeon equals male, nurse equals female, Asian equal good at math, whatever. A group and a trait. That's a stereotype. Once that is established, because you live in society, you have a brain, once it's established, it's locked in, it can influence how you think, feel, and behave at a subconscious level.
Sure.
So implicit bias is a phenomenon that starts out with a stereotype that can affect how you think, feel, and behave at a subconscious level. That's it. It's not a character issue. It's an exposure.
Gotcha. You know what's interesting, Brian, when you say that, when you look at it from the perception, the stereotypical view of when you think of black males, you know, you did that when you did that slide where you just think of, you know, thug, criminal, drug dealer, stuff like that. In my experience, which is different from a lot of people, is that I grew up around black males. My father has been married to my mother for over 50 years. You know, all the men in my life, my godfathers, my so-called uncles, I would call, you know, I grew up around black men. So to me, I never had an absence of black male figures to look up to and to see this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Right. And then to have the be so fortunate to be able to go to Morehouse College and be in that nurturing environment in which it's all black men, and then to be inside this city of Atlanta to see so many black people living so well and a certain sense of excellence being portrayed. You're like, wow, like, you know, me coming from Cincinnati, Ohio, it kind of blew my mind from the standpoint, like everybody I saw who was successful was white. You know, black folks, it was rare. I mean, you know, in the circles that I was in, we were middle class, you know, like Max said before, you know, we were kind of Cosby kids and stuff like that growing up, which is a great thing. But to come and see it on the scale in which it was, that was a whole new thing for me. And I think that also too changes people's minds. Like if everyone had our experience, like white folks included, everybody had our experience and seeing black folks in a whole different light, it would change a whole lot of perceptions. Absolutely. I mean, you know, you would not think of black people like you see somebody, you know, applying for a job, or you see somebody walking down the street, and you would also already have your idea of what this person is or who they are and what they do. You would think something totally different. So I mean, I think that's great in regards of exposure of what you see and what you experience, and that totally changed your mind. So I mean, that was just a little stint I wanted to say based upon what you just said.
I like that though, Jay. Real quick, I just want to say something real fast. I saw how President Obama spoke about HBCUs recently. You know, I graduated from A&T as well, so I mean, yeah. So you know, the beautiful thing about
that being Aggie, that's an Aggie, right?
Oh, it's the Aggie, brother. Aggie to the bone, no doubt. Yeah, you already know. But no, that's the whole thing. I mean, like I think now acknowledging the HBCU culture the HBCU, experience. I think it's a beautiful thing, and you see it now being talked about. I mean, hell, we just had people celebrating Juneteenth. I had people. I was in a
That
meeting.
was
They're happy,
big.
happy Juneteenth. I mean, it's amazing, but at the same rate, it's kind of. I do like what Amanda Seales said last night on BET Awards. She said, "Be careful because we don't want them to Cinco de Mayo the
June.
Juneteenth. Yeah, we don't." She said, after a while, you're looking around and people are wearing. I mean,
That's funny, but
Amanda
that's
Seales,
so true, man. That's straight
it's
up.
so true because it's
That's,
not even
yeah.
taught in history. So, like in school, I
Mhm.
mean, like if like a lot of information I got on Black culture, and I was again, my parents both went to A&T, so we were always around. Black culture, the Black experience was
Mhm.
always a part of what
Mhm.
I had when I grew up. And we never felt any kind of like it didn't feel like we were missing out on whatever's going on in white America. I don't know, but it was interesting. But anyway, my point in saying that is uh, it's never discussed in school. Juneteenth, I never heard anybody mention that. I mean, to be honest with you, anytime anybody Black is really mentioned, it's February, and it's Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and even then, Malcolm X part is very short. They want to tell you Rosa
Right.
Parks, maybe a few others, but you don't. There's so much you don't hear about. And now to walk around and people saying Juneteenth like it's July 4th. I mean, Independence Day is,
Funny.
it's interesting. And I'm kind of like,
Mhm.
I'm happy and I'm like confused at the same time. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, like there's going to be a mattress sale on Juneteenth. I mean, it's just crazy. I don't know. I mean, I'm just saying that's kind of what you're getting now. And I feel like it could Cinco de Mayo in that sense, where
Right.
it just becomes this thing. So when I was saying the action items, I also want to say one other thing real quick, kind of go into that is there's a lot of people, a lot of companies that are putting out these really amazing emails saying what they're gonna do and their different things that they're thinking about doing or they're working towards. And I'm not gonna say this company out, but there's this one company I do know about who deals with tech, and that this company said, we're going to give out scholarships to a minority based African American scholarship for tech. And I asked them, because I'm connected to this company, and I said, well, who is talking about where it should go? And they said, well, our executive team, our executive board. Oh, okay, well, cool. Well, who's on the executive board? Well, it's three white women. It's three white women. And I said, well, okay, you have no representation there to even have that discussion. So I was like, and then they said, well, we think we're going to do this. And I was like, well, it's great to give a, scholarship, but have you even thought about an HBCU? Oh, that would be a great idea. Yeah, I mean, but it's just small things. So I think that these action items out here that people are discussing are great. I just don't understand really how they see this happening in a real way. I'm sorry, I just had to throw that story out there. I think I just wanted to talk about it. I don't know. It was in my head.
That's realness.
Yeah.
That's realness.
Mhm.
Well, the conversation as we see is going to continue, and I'm happy and proud of that. We got a long way to freaking go,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I appreciate the fact that we are able to, as a team, with being with Uncle Nearest. It's an African American owned company, an African American on the label. That's rare,
Yeah.
and so being within this organization and then having a team that's so diverse. I mean, we have a lot of black. I mean, we have black folks and we have a lot of white folks, and sometimes that can get lost in the mix. But I truly appreciate the fact that we have, I guess, taking your turn, we have a lot of folks on our team who are woke. And so I really appreciate that. But it's also too, it's funny because I look at Matt, I look at Speedy, and I know that there are times that you're going out there, you're telling the story, you're talking about a black company and a black man, and then they're looking at you like, why is this white dude talking to me about these black folks? So I know a lot of times you all are in that situation, and but you have to push through in the same way in which me and Matt go to certain accounts and we start talking, and they're like, as soon as we walk through the door, they may be like, man, what the hell, dude? I don't, I'm not really trying to hear what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a thing of which we have to face um, biases, face adversity, face things, but we face it together, and this is a way in which we are communicating amongst each other. And I told you guys, like, anytime you guys have a question or something like that, man, just I'm not I don't get offended like that, man. If you don't know, you don't know. So holla at your boy and let me know, and we'll walk each other through it. But I love the teamwork that we have. And so I just saw they posted up there the Together We Can, with the beautiful initiative that we have with Jack Daniels with Brown Forman, in which we are developing the initiative to bring forth more Black distillers in the program, bring forth more Black folks, period, in the spirits industry, to be in all different stages, all different positions, all different facets of being in the spirits industry. And it's a beautiful thing that we're working towards doing that. But I mean, it's going to take a whole lot of work, and it's going to take a whole lot of wokeness and more conversations like this, in which we're able to sit down at the table and, like Brian said, tell the freaking truth. Start with that.
There you go.
Start with that and tell the truth and be okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm not pointing a finger, be like, you guys suck because of where you are right now. No. It's like, tell the truth of where we are, and then let's figure out, because me being a Black male, as long as you listen and acknowledge the stuff that we're talking about, that we've been through for so many years, that means a whole lot to me. You know, just from that standpoint, you at least acknowledge it, because so much it's been ignored, or like, you know what, slavery was years ago. We don't do that now. It's like, nah, bro, it's still happening. So I'm proud, and I wanted to at least put that out there from the standpoint, and put my plug in for Uncle Nearest, and being so happy and proud to be working with you guys and having this conversation. And I really appreciate my line brother popping in and helping us out. Did you guys have any other questions? I know I had some more on my docket, but I know we're getting to that point where people are like, okay, get tired, I'm gonna log out. But
Don't log out.
Yeah, don't log. You know what? I did have one other thing, Slimer. I did. When you talk to your kids, when you talk to your daughter and your son, what is that conversation right now? Because we're all dads, and so it's going to be different for us as opposed to Speedy and Matt. But seriously, what are some of those things in which you introduce that conversation to a child? How do you do that?
Yeah, I think it's and we just did a panel the other day on how to talk to kids about race and racism, but it has to be sort of age appropriate. So my son now 5, about to be 6. Our technique with him, or my technique, and my wife and I talked about it, is this balance of exposure, right? Okay. So he watches Dora, he watches Doc McStuffins, so he watches females of color character. Then he'll watch Ninja Turtles. He watch that. So he sees black, white, so he sees a lot of different forms that heroes and good guys can come in, right? Okay. The books we have that we read, they have balance of characters, who's in it, the pictures, just balance it out. So it's not explicit at 5 or 6, like, black. I mean, people may look at you different because your skin tone is racism, but we want them to form of respect and appreciation for who he is and what he looks like, and that good people look like him, Black Panther, and all that. But also, it could be a female, it could be other forms as well. So with the younger, it's all about balance of exposure. And the thing that makes it easier now, fellas, we're living at a time where we have more control over the media we consume than at any other point in human history. Facts. Right? You turn on the cable, you got 700 channels. You got Netflix, Hulu, Disney Plus, Apple Plus. You have so much in DVRs. Yeah. You can program a DVR from your phone right now. You can watch what you want, when you want. Not to mention YouTube. We have all content at our fingertips. You can literally choose to dictate what your kids watch. When we were young, it was like 4 or 5 channels. You watch what was on at the time.
That's it.
You control, right?
TV would actually go off at a certain time.
Right. 11 o'clock. Done. After 11 o'clock news, it was a wrap. At 12 midnight, it was a wrap.
Right.
That's right.
So as a parent, you can do the research and just find shows, DVR it, and when they say watch, you play, when you record it, that's your TV programming, right? So we're more about that, about controlling the balance of exposure. My 13-year-old, when she gets, because middle school is tough. So middle school, developmentally, is when groups and cliques form, right? That's when your kids begin to like boys and girls, and they get to their little groups and all that. Middle school can be very rough, right? But that's where that race difference comes in. So you might have been, with your little white, black, Hispanic friends when y'all were first grade, second grade, and right around fifth grade, in the sixth grade, things start to gravitating this way and that way. Everybody don't hug each other, tell them they love them all the time anymore. Like, it's different. The kids are cute. We get that fifth, sixth grade, they start choosing cliques, right?
Yeah.
So my daughter, we give her role models, a lot of female role models, positive black role models. But with her, I do about Black history and culture. But I also put it in context. I'll say throughout the history of humankind, all civilizations have contributed to advancing humanity. Blacks, Hispanics, Asian, Byzantine, Egyptians, Greeks, Romans, the whole big thing. But I do put things in perspective. One of the worst things, please hear me, one of the worst things you can do for a Black African American is to begin telling them the story starting with slavery. Who else does that? Who else starts telling the history of their people at deficit, at the worst possible point? Jews don't start their story at the Holocaust. Japanese Americans start with internment camps. But for Black folks in America, slavery, then poof, we're just reacting from slavery. No, we existed for hundreds of thousands of years before that. And so I give her that context, that Black people were here first. We were the first people on the planet for 140,000 years before we went around the world and began to evolve and change into other colors and shapes and all that other thing. But yes, we were first. That Black Africans built the pyramids. We were the first to read, write, and count. We had two forms of writing before anybody else was really thinking about being civilized, right? So I have to give it that context. Everybody has contributed to advancing humanity, right? But chronologically speaking, Black folks were first. That's just what it is. Some people have discomfort with that, but their discomfort doesn't make it any less true. Right?
That's a fact.
Facts.
I mean, look, a lot of times they said that those are aliens, the Egyptians. You've even heard that.
Yeah.
They won't even humanize it.
Aliens. Like, dude,
won't even humanize it.
You can't even give Black folks no credit at all. Like, aliens built that. There's no way Black people
Not
could
people.
Go to Egypt. I've been there. Go to the pyramids, into the temples. They carve themselves in granite and sandstone and limestone. You can see it. And they painted themselves. They were Black and brown people. There is no debate. At the Cairo Museum in Egypt, they have the mummies there. They've done testing. They were melanated people, meaning they were dark-skinned, on their black-skinned people.
Yeah.
There is no debate about this. Yeah. It's just a matter of people knowing or not knowing. So I have to share that context, in addition to saying the U.S., we've had our mistakes in the past. Relative to other countries, we've done some things well and not so well, right? So it's an honest conversation about history. And I often find myself correcting what she's learning in school, right? They had Middle Age history. Middle Age is 500 AD to 1500 AD, right? They talk about Europe in the Middle Ages, and they didn't say anything about the Moors. I'm like, well, how you don't learn about the Moors? She's like, well, I don't know about that. I said, do you understand in Europe, Spain, and Portugal, the Iberian Peninsula was ruled by the Moors from 711 to 1492? Over 700 years, Black Africans ruled that area, taught them how to build schools, build aqueducts, they took them out of the Dark Ages. Yeah, that's just right. So I have to compliment that, not demonizing it, but letting them understand that to understand about themselves, they have to dig a bit deeper. So with my 13-year-old, it's a more sophisticated conversation. Again, I don't demonize anybody else. It's about understanding who you are.
I like that.
Right on. That's good. That's good, man.
Good stuff.
So we might have to get you back on, because the other part that I put, being a whiskey dad, this is so helpful and good in putting knowledge and having the conversation, but also too, we like to have fun.
Oh yeah.
And from the standpoint, like we cut up pretty bad, but we've been very good the last few weeks. So I'm very proud of each and every one of you on here. I would just say that right now. Yes.
You guys were great.
We've been very, very good. We've been, and thank you, Dr. Marks, for making us look so smart. But the other part about it is that people are so multifaceted. So if you look at Dr. Marks, you see he comes with the facts, the knowledge, and I've always known Bryant to be a smart ass dude, right? So the other piece about it is the reason why his delivery, I think a lot, is so tight in his delivery. Bryant comes from New York. Bryant is also an old MC. So Bryant used to be on the microphone. So him and
Oh,
my other Sans was a DJ, and so they were a tag team. So that's how I knew Bryant and my other Sans Tron DJ Tron, and so I love to see how the evolution of people, how they are. You know, being that he grew up, on the microphone and stuff like that, and now he's a speaker.
Mhm.
And now he speaks, and he speaks from knowledge and experience and education and data, and comes with it. But his delivery is still as if he's on the mic, and to me it cracks me up. Like, y'all don't see that, but I mean, to me it cracks me up. Like, this dude, he's a bad dude. And then on top of that, he's also a pastor, so he can get up in the pulpit and rock the mic again and praise God. You know what I'm
hey,
saying? So it's really cool. It's really I'm so glad, and I'm so proud to have Brian on here. I gotta give a shout out to all my Sans, KS Lockdown, KT, all the noobs, everybody who's watching, Morehouse, Spelman, Clark, AUC, HBCU grads, everybody. We really appreciate it. And then
bingo.
all the lovers and the appreciators of Uncle Nearest, whoever you are, whatever color, wherever you come from, we really, really appreciate all the love. And it is the support for Uncle Nearest has skyrocketed in the last
Yeah.
5-6 months. I mean, it's been bananas, and I mean, I really, really appreciate that. And I think it lends to the fact of how much engagement we've had. So this show is just one of a few shows that we have where we're doing podcasts, and I really appreciate the leadership for seeing, like, you know what, we need to start doing these type of things.
Yeah.
So we are continuing to push the envelope, but we are continue to engage, be educated, talk, and have a good time, but always talk about some delicious
Ooh.
whiskey and cocktails.
Oh my God.
So we'll keep that going too. But everybody, just make sure you pay attention to us. Go to our website, unclenearest.com. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram, and we also have a YouTube channel, which is Pound the Rock, which is what we say, because a big old rock. It's kind of hard to be a black company and talk about the man who developed and perfected that Lincoln County process and talk Jack Daniels. And so we say it's a big old boulder, big old rocket. So you just keep pounding and eventually it's gonna crack. And I'm telling you right now, fellas, we got some cracks going on in this rock. I mean, it's
Wait, hold on.
well.
Cracks in the rock? What's going on now, man? This thing. Come on,
I'm
now.
sorry, you Virginia, DC. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, you already know.
That, but right, cracks in the rock is bad. I'm sorry.
We got to give it some levity. I love it.
Yeah,
Always,
we got
bro.
to. We got to, man.
Always.
And I mean, that's what we need nowadays.
Before we-
So we can run around the board and everybody have their last words, say something like that. But I just want to put all the good plugs in there, and I appreciate everybody, everybody's family, because we all are getting on the mics and we all know good daggone well. Like, my kids upstairs, like, I'm sick and tired of daddy being on this daggone computer. I know Jenny's probably sleeping.
Yeah.
Speedy, I know your kids are probably on their
We had
phone,
dinner in
like,
her bedroom again tonight.
True, daddy. Yeah, they're going down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, gosh.
Mac, I hear it's quiet there, so I know
Yeah.
your probably gone down, and baby boy is probably in between feed and stuff like that.
You're right. You're
And
right.
Slam, I don't know what's going on at your house. I'm sorry. I call him Slammer because he's Brian Marks, but he used to be B Slammer was the name. So
I
that's
love it. Come on,
that's
bro.
what I call Slammer.
It'll be slim.
Come on.
So it's crazy. What's crazy is
Still be
a
Slammer.
lot of times, like when I give my presentations to people, and I tell them, I give my bio, and I say I used to be a rapper, and my MC name was B Slammer, and they go, it's funny because they think it's funny that I'm a professor that used to be a rapper, but the people who know me when I was young think it's funny that I'm a rapper that became a professor.
Right.
It's
Oh, I see.
depending on when people know you, they can lock in a certain identity and not see you through another lens. It's hilarious. But B Slammer is a core identity. So all these people pay me a whole bunch of money to be B Slammer. And it's fun. I'm going to take the check, but it's not hard. I mean, it's Slammer-nessence. It's who I am. Right?
Slammer-nessence. Running wild.
You know,
That's good. That's good.
But to your point, Jay, I mean, I think you all doing this is great. I mean, do you bring the personality? I mean, what you want to do is get paid for your passion, right? You want to get paid to bring aspects of yourself to your job in a way that's flavorful and unique and so forth. And so when I see that and I sense that here, then that's living life, fellas. So y'all all right. Yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. Speedy, man, what you got? You got any last final words you wanna shout out to the people here?
No, bottom line, earlier I mentioned the gaslighting. That's going to be a continual thing, right? Okay, but what I'm looking at is, when you asked me earlier what I'm seeing a lot of people that they've been kind of holding their breath. Okay, so they haven't wanted to engage, and they just want to sit back and just, wait for everything to take its course.
Right.
And so, it's just one of those things where I'm hearing that, okay, well, it's kind of like us as parents, right? When our kids were acting out, and it'd be like, we just let them go in the corner and just talk themselves out, right? Okay, well, there's no talking ourselves out on this one, man. Everybody's going to keep chattering. We need to keep making noise, and we're going to see this through. But yeah, it's kind of like when I had my interview with Fawn, and I had a bunch of questions, and it was like, finally, okay, you done, little man? It's my turn. Here we are. So, everyone, whose voice has been suppressed, man, they want to be heard.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be heard.
I love it.
Here we go.
I love it. Mac, what you got, man? What's your take on it, brother?
Hey, well, listen, I want to thank all those that kept the chat really live, man. You guys keep doing that. That's awesome. When we do these shows, I try to spotlight as many as I can. But thank you so much for checking in and just, being a part of this experience. I think it's beautiful when you have whiskey dads taking the time out of their day, because our day is, we don't have a lot of time. So I do appreciate my team, man. Literally, Matt, Jay, Speedy, Doc, thanks for being here tonight. I mean, I really think that you guys have just been awesome, man. And I think that, us by keep doing this, it speaks a lot of the brand of Uncle Nearest, putting this giving us this platform to speak, to hopefully, shed some light on certain things. Maybe we might entertain you, but like I said, I do love infotainment. That's just my thing, my nature. But I think that I really do appreciate us having this platform. I appreciate you guys taking your time, and I hope that we can continue to do this. So that's all I got.
I appreciate that. Matt, all the way out there on the West Coast, man. What you got, brother?
Yeah, I was just going to, well, first of all, thank Dr. Marks for being with us, but maybe suggest that we finish with a toast to equity.
I like that. Equity is a key word. I like
an important theme for us. And then also to stay to keep being hopeful. We talk about pounding the rock for whiskey, but I think we're going to have to keep pounding the rock for justice too.
There we go.
It's something that we have to continue to put in the forefront of your mind, especially I'll speak directly to white people. A lot of white people have the privilege of choosing when to pay attention to certain issues and to keep focused on the work at hand. So let's say, I don't have much left here, but cheers to equity.
Cheers to equity.
Cheers. Right on.
See you,
Cheers
Matt.
to equity. Much appreciated. So here's the deal too. I got to give a big shout out to part of our team, Sailor. Sailor, my white chocolate sister. Thank you so much, Sailor, for doing
wow. White chocolate.
See, for real. I mean, Sailor keeps it real. Sailor had more stuff on Black Lives Matter than I did, man. You know what I'm saying? So I gotta give her love and respect and honor for that. Shout out to my wife. I see you on there, Solana. And then also to a big shout out to Haley, who's our social media maven. I mean, you all really truly make this easy for us. So thank you all for all the hard work you put into it. As always, a big shout out to Fawn and Keith Weaver, to Victoria, to Kate, to my VP Steve. You all are great in regards to leadership and pushing this pill forward and allowing us the latitude and longitude to do what we do and do it well. And we're seeing the results of that right now. And I really appreciate that. And again, peace and love to our family. Peace and love to my daughter. I know she's on there. She's been pushing me from day one to be more so on social media. So I appreciate that. We're trying to do and don't let me be careful now. We're trying to do it having something really good. On Thursday nights, around 8:00. So monthly, we're gonna have Thursday night. So back in the day, as we were coming along, Thursday night was good for a certain network. So
different
from that
world
standpoint, we that's what we're trying to do. Me and Sailor were talking about it. So I mean, we have the shows that we have now with Cigar Mike on Thursdays with Chef Jannard. And then with Victoria, where we make cocktails. Thanks, Speedy, my man. And then I think we're gonna put Whiskey Dads on Thursdays, man, and just keep this party going. So from that standpoint, Thursday this will be the place to be at 8 o'clock. So thank you for bringing that around. Bryant, man, look, I have no problem, and would see if we can try and bring you back another time, man, for sure. Because I mean, I think we just kind of scratched the surface on a lot of stuff,
Sure.
and you being able to drop knowledge like you do in the fashion in which you do it, I love it. So I would love to get you back on here, man. But for everybody, thanks again for all your support. Thank you for everybody who checked our social media and logged in and got on here tonight. We're gonna keep pushing this pill, keep doing what we do and pounding the rock. But I thank you all and appreciate you all. UncleNearest.com. Go check us out. Don't know the story? Know the story for sure. See our man Jeffrey Wright tell it. Find you some Uncle Nearest, toast with us, make some cocktails, and have a good time. Love y'all, man.
All right.
All right.
And COVID time. So get your mask, all right?
Please wear your mask.
Your freaking
Please
mask.
do it.
Wear it. Look, it's fashionable. It's sexy. I don't know. You guys got yours? Speedy, you got a mask? There you go.
There you go.
We got Uncle
Look at
Nearest
that. Look
branded
how
masks
sexy
out
that
there.
is. Good.
So-
Oh, there they go.
Ooh.
Is that Louis Vuitton? I don't know.
Oh yeah, I think it's Crooked Vuitton. I don't know.
Okay,
Brian,
well,
Brian,
hey.
I'm gonna make a trip over to you.
Beautiful.
I owe you some masks, man, so you can have it out there, brother.
All
Stay
right.
protected and look fashionable at the same time.
My God.
All right, man. Toast to everybody, man. We appreciate y'all. Have a great night.
Cheers, guys.
Peace out from the Whiskey Dads, y'all.
Right.
Yep.
Cheers.